Hey friends, welcome back to another Veganuary video. Today we're going to be talking about vegan meal prep and some kind of steps and tips that you can do to make that more effective. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before we begin talking about meal planning, don't forget that we've got 40% off any or all of our raw vegan recipe ebooks. You do not have to be a raw vegan to enjoy more raw vegan meals. So we've got burgers and salads and tacos and appetizers, soups, stews, curries, chilies, there's meal plans. All kinds of good stuff, and it's all 40% off. Again, code is RAWFOOD40. The link is in the description box below or right here on the screen. So go check those out if you're interested in adding more whole raw plant foods to your life. Today, we're going to talk about planning. Whether you're vegan or raw vegan, it doesn't matter. We need to meal plan. This is something that is very important to making sure that we get enough nutrition because as we mentioned before, veganism is not a diet, but diet plays a big role within veganism. So if we are leaving animal products off our plate, we have to make sure that we're getting enough nutrition from our plant foods so that we can lead a healthy life. We don't want to undereat. That's a really big mistake that a lot of people do when they move over to a vegan diet. They're just not eating enough, or they're eating more junky foods, which can, in the long run, not serve us. Just because it says vegan on the label doesn't automatically make it healthy. It just means that there are no animal products used in the creation of the product or any ingredients in the product. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't mean that it is automatically healthy just because it's vegan. Same goes for things that are organic. Just because it says organic on it doesn't mean that it's good for you or an ideal thing to choose to eat. So make sure that you are aware of that when you're choosing foods because we want to be healthy vegans. Yes, obviously we choose to eat vegan because it's part of being a vegan, but we also want to be healthy because so many people run into health issues and then they end up going back to eating animal products because they may not be eating enough or they might not be eating properly, eating a lot of junk food. Maybe they move over to animal products and they feel better simply because they're eating more. There could be many, many reasons for that, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. We're going to talk about vegan meal planning, how important it is to plan and make sure that you are eating enough food and getting a wide variety of food into your day. So the number one thing that we need to know when we're planning is to actually plan. Actually write it down. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and write down what you plan to have for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. It really does not take that long. You can do it right before going to bed, which is what I recommend if you are meal planning, to proactively meal plan and food journal the night before in preparation for the next day. So get in your food journal and write down what you plan to have for the next day. Most traditional food journaling is looking back on what we ate instead of looking forward at what we would like to eat. So plan out those meals, write them down. It's so powerful to write things down. They've done so many studies on people who write their goals down are more likely to achieve them because the act of writing it down. So write down what you plan to eat and make sure that those meals are whole food, plant-based, high raw or all raw, depending on where you are with your raw journey, and make sure that they cover adequate calories for you for the day. So none of this like eating your BMR and under eating, because we know that under eating equals undernourishment. We don't want to be missing out on important nutrients. We want to make sure that we're getting enough of everything. And variety is key. As I've mentioned in countless videos, variety is key. It's so important for growing the microbiome and for getting adequate nutrition. So fruit is amazing, but so are vegetables, sprouts, microgreens, greens in general. And if you're choosing to include cooked food, you've got your starches, your grains, that kind of thing, your beans, you can add those in as well. obviously making sure that you eat a lot of good, healthy, fresh, hydrating raw food, but you can add those in as well to increase your calorie intake if you're having issues eating enough on a raw diet. Again, no one's getting a medal if you're all raw for X amount of years. There's no one giving out medals. You just need to do what works for you and what feels best in your body. And if that includes a little bit of cooked food, while you're adding more raw, that's fine too. Don't feel like you are not enough or you're not good enough or you suck or whatever because you can't go all raw right now or for some reason, or maybe you're running and you need some starch or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that it's vegan, obviously. And then low fat, we want to keep our fat on the lower end, focusing on omega-3s. So when you plan your day, you can use an app called Chronometer, and you can enter in all the ingredients to the recipes that you plan on making to make sure that you're getting enough calories for the day. Again, your BMR is the bare minimum requirement, what you need to just function at complete rest without talking or eating or walking or moving at all. So that's just what you need to run your lungs, your brain, your skin, your organs, all that kind of stuff. We need more calories than that because we live life. We go to work, we talk, we play with our kids, we do exercise. There's so many things that happen during the day that increase our caloric needs. So make sure that you eat enough. The average is always around 2,000 or more calories is ideal, and that can sound scary if you've been indoctrinated by diet culture. Diet culture says you need to eat less to lose weight. It's not true. We need to eat the proper foods and weight loss can happen naturally and easily. So definitely make sure that when you plan your meals, that you plan them out appropriately, making sure that you're getting adequate calories and adequate variety for a wide range of nutrition. So write them down. That's the number one tip, is to write them down. The second tip is to schedule this into your day. Schedule it in like you would a really important meeting, because you are important. You are so incredibly important. You're worth it. We got to show up for ourselves like we show up for our boss. Like we have to go to our own meeting with ourselves in the kitchen. We have to also schedule in if we need to go grocery shopping or what we need to pick up, and we need to buy what we know we're going to eat, not what we think we're going to eat, because I know we can sometimes overbuy foods because we're really motivated to eat healthy, so we buy all these healthy foods, but without planning, we don't remember necessarily to eat those foods, and then they rot in the fridge. So make sure that when you plan out what you need, and you can use up what you have in your fridge and stuff like that, making bigger salads with more variety, using up what you have, and then making sure that you plan out when you need to go grocery shopping for the next day. But schedule it in. Schedule in your prep. Does this mean missing an episode of Netflix before bed because you want to make your lunch for the next day? So be it. Schedule yourself in and show up. Show up for yourself. That's the third tip. Show up. If you have to set alarms in your phone or whatever you need to do to show up for yourself, because you deserve it. You deserve to take the time to make these meals for yourself. And yes, we're all human. I'm human. I get lazy. I get tired. Sometimes I don't want to make dinner. Nate doesn't want to make dinner, but we do it anyway because we know that that is what we want for our lives. And sometimes just going into the kitchen and opening the fridge is enough to start the snowball rolling, so to speak. Just opening the fridge or grabbing a head of lettuce or whatever and then moving over. Just do it one step at a time when you're in those states where you just don't want to do it. Put on some music, maybe hype yourself up, get into the mood, and know that you're doing something amazing for yourself. But you gotta show up. You have to show up and do your plan. Work your plan. What is your plan? Make sure that it gets done. But scheduling it in is really going to help, because it's going to be time set aside specifically for you to work your plan. The fourth tip or step, I guess, would be to make it fun. Like I mentioned, to put on some music, maybe do a little dancing, practice mindful meditation while you're chopping. This is a really cool thing I learned a long time ago from a book called The Miracle of Mindfulness. And he was talking about really feeling the bubbles in the soap when you're washing dishes. Because washing dishes is just a chore. We're gonna wash dishes for the rest of our lives. It's about really mindfully meditating when we are doing these mundane tasks. And take this time to have a moving meditation with yourself. If that's what you wanna do, you can put on some soft, nice music, or you can put on your favorite jams and dance. It really depends on what you are feeling like, what the mood is. You can include the family if you are living with your family, depending on what age your kids are or what have you. Get the family involved. Have the kids chop if they're old enough, or turn on the blender to blend, or wash the fruits and vegetables, because the little kids could wash the fruits and vegetables just playing in the water. That would be fun as well. Get them involved in the planning too, like have them suggest what kind of meals that they'd like to try that are vegan, and really get them involved. It's so much better when you're not the only one involved. And I know not everyone's going to want to get involved. They might drag their feet because they don't want to help in the kitchen, but try to make it as fun as possible. And when kids are part of the meal prep, they tend to want to eat the food more because they played a part in preparing it. Plus, you're teaching them some really cool stuff too. So if you have kids, get them involved. If you don't, take this time to have you time. Put on an audiobook or listen to a podcast or what have you, something that you've been wanting to learn, maybe learning a new language. You can do that while you're chopping as well. Like, there's so many things that you can do while you're chopping. So it's not, quote unquote, a waste of time. And the final tip for successful vegan meal prep is to prep in advance if you can. So when you set aside that time, the schedule, set aside a little extra time, maybe 15 minutes, to chop extra for the next meal, or blend a double batch of dressing for the next day. That way you're not doing super amount of prep every single day. You're doing a little more prep on certain days, so you have a little less prep on other days. Nate and I, sometimes we will blend a double batch of dressing so that we have dressing ready for dinner the next day. It's a lot easier that way. When we have a busy day, we don't really feel like making dinner the next day. It's nice to be like, oh, yay, there's a dressing in the fridge and we just need to chop the veggies. Or at lunch, if we chop veggies for lunch, we'll chop a double batch and we'll just have salad for dinner, and we don't even have to chop. We'll have chopped everything in advance and we have our dressing already blended from the day before. The dressings can last like 1 to 3, sometimes 4 days. It depends on how high fat the dressing is. The higher the fat, the longer they last. So if they're a no fat dressing, I typically recommend to just use that one the day of, or maybe the next day. Some sunflower seeds, hemp seeds, or even the thick ones like the cashew ones can last 4 days. So just make sure that you know what kind of dressing you're making. So if you're going to make a double batch, I usually make a double batch for dinner because those ones last a little longer. They're a little higher fat, so they work pretty good. But also learning new recipes. Learn new recipes and start practicing them more often, because that's the thing. When you start off on a vegan or a raw vegan diet, it might be different. It's not all that different, but it is different, definitely. We're gonna need to learn and create new habits when it comes to our food prep. So it's basically just time, practice, and consistency that you'll get better at the food prep. Trust me, you do get better. The more you repeat something, the better you get at it. And this goes for absolutely everything in life, not just a vegan diet. Learning a new language, learning a new sport, learning an instrument, learning anything in life, we need to repeat it to get better at it. So same goes for food prep. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Something else that you can do is to find cool tools, like a spiralizer or a cool chopping machine or whatever you want to use, maybe a food processor, to help speed up the food prep. Whatever you want, whatever you find is going to be great if it helps you to save time in the kitchen. So go check out some cool tools. You could even take a course on how to chop, how to get some cool knife skills, or whatever you want to do to help enhance your prep skills. And again, same like every other thing in life, it takes practice and it takes consistency. So keep at it, keep going, get the family involved, and try new things. It's really fun. It's great brain exercise as well, because when we're in the same habit over and over and over and over again, it doesn't expand our brain, but when we try new things and we experience new things, that is great for brain health as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please click like. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to get notifications for more. You can click the little bell and they'll be sent to you whenever I post a new video. And we have 40% off any or all of our raw vegan recipe ebooks. The code is RAWFOOD40. It's right here on the screen or in the description box below. So head on down there and see all the cool, fun recipes that you can start adding to your life if you want to eat more raw foods. You don't have to be a raw vegan to enjoy raw food. So go check those out, and hope to see you again tomorrow for our next video for Veganuary. Until then, I love you and fruit on.